Hey everybody, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 7 of the Sweetheart Season series, and we're going to be making some beautiful candles today in these cappuccino mugs, and we're going to call them I Love You A Latte candles. Oh my God, so cute, I'm so excited. Okay, so we're going to make everything from start to finish. We're going to run through what we're going to be using today. And we're also going to measure and get started because we're going to make this from start to finish, including adding the toppers and all that jazz. So stick around till the end because we are going to light our candles. But first, let's start with some candle maker math. So we're going to be using these two 14-ounce porcelain cappuccino mugs that I picked up at Dollarama yesterday. And we're going to fill them to about, I want to say a full inch under. I'll show you later. And we're going to be using a combination of 2 yummy fragrance oils today to create a custom scent called I Love You A Latte. And a big shout out to my girl Dee for suggesting this combo and this whole I Love You A Latte idea. Go girl, go, slay. Okay, focus. So 70% of Sunday morning espresso fragrance oil and 30% of oatmeal and warm honey fragrance oil to make our I Love You A Latte candle. The main pour, we're going to need 490 grams of this beautiful and silky Millennium soy wax, which would be roughly about 245 grams per mug. Then we're going to do 35 grams of Sunday morning espresso and 15 grams of the oatmeal and warm honey fragrance oil. And hopefully I'm going to pour at about 120 degrees Fahrenheit if I can be patient enough to do that. We'll see. We'll see. Now for the toppers, we're going to be using a different wax altogether. We're going to be using Pillar soy wax, which I have off in the corner over here. And I'm only going to need a few of the hearts and a few of the coffee beans. So 50 grams is going to be more than enough to fill out at least a row or two of the hearts and the coffee beans. So that's what we're going to be shooting for today. So let's get started. I'm going to start by getting this out of the way, and we're going to start measuring out the wax so that we can get it melting in the double boiler. Now, if you use any of these American soy organic waxes like Millennium soy wax and also the Pillar soy wax, they are designed to go in the microwave. So they can absolutely be melted in a microwave. You don't need to do a double boiler like I'm doing today. And they melt quite quickly. I really enjoy them. They're really nice, the pellets. They're nice and tidy as well, which is something close to my heart. Okay. So let me grab my Millennium that I have open. So as I said, we are going to need 490 grams of wax. So let's go. This is going to fill this probably almost to the top, I would say. My small pour pot. Hey. Oh, so close, Mary. So close. So is the extra 2 grams of wax going to make that big of a difference? No, it's really not. But I'm weird about certain things. Some things I don't care, and other things I do care. I care a lot. So I do care about being accurate with my math when it comes to candle making. I might have put a little too much water in there, so I gotta have to keep an eye on that. It's a little bit of a high. We're gonna keep an eye on it. Okay, so now we're gonna measure out our fragrance oil before I start setting up the wicks in this. Let me get these out of the way, actually. All right, I want some paper towel because I am really good at making a mess. So I'm gonna prepare for that. So as I said, we're going to be doing 70% of this Sunday morning espresso fragrance oil. So let's talk about it real quick. Sunday morning espresso has top notes of Robusto espresso beans, blood orange peel, and lemon. Mid notes of French roast beans, frothy milk notes, and sugared peony. And base notes of cedarwood, tonka musk, and sweet woods. Oh my gosh, this sounds like the yummy part of a coffee. I'm really excited about it. And You're getting a little rowdy. I have my eyes on you. Okay. Now, oatmeal and warm honey fragrance oil has top notes of raw honey, crushed almonds, and cardamom. Mid notes of creamy coconut, peach, cinnamon leaf, and base notes of fresh oatmeal, vanilla bean, and sugar cane. So this is really going to be like a sweet and yummy latte. I'm really excited. Okay. So I'm going to measure these into these little shot glasses because I think these should be big enough and it's easy. So we're going to start with Sunday morning espresso, and I'm going to need 35 grams of this fragrance oil. So let's see how I do with that. Always make sure you zero your scale once you have whatever vessel you're going to be using to measure, so that you don't include its weight in your measurement. Okay, so we're aiming for 35. Here we go. Oh my God, I immediately smell the coffee. Oh, this is going to be yummy. Oh, seriously, 2 grams. Am I even going to be able to do this? Probably not, but let's try. Yeah, absolutely not. Who's surprised? Not me. Okay, we're at 37 and we needed 35. So I'm going to take 2 out. And I'm going to eventually learn this lesson and just stop doing that and just use this pipette ahead of time instead of putting it back. Okay. Oh man, does this smell phenomenal? It really does smell like a Sunday morning espresso. Oh man, that takes me back to the days when I was a wee little Mary. Okay, so next we're going to do our oatmeal and warm honey, and this is the 30% of our fragrance load, which is going to be 15 grams of oil. Okay, zero you out. Let's go. Oh. I had a spaz. I had a total spaz. Okay, I need to turn this down because it's getting a little too rowdy. You're distracting me. Also, I don't want this to fall off the burner, which could totally happen when it's popping around like this. Okay, it's fine. Focus. All right, so 15 grams of oatmeal and warm honey. Here we go. Wow, I've poured so much onto this paper towel. Thank God I have it. Okay, there's no way I'm going to get that last 2 grams like we just learned from the Sunday morning espresso. So I'm going to be smarter. And I'm going to grab a pipette now. Yeah. Look at me using my noggin. Atta girl. Okay, the water is much more chill. We're still melting nicely. I'll put you up just a tiny bit. Everything's calmed down. It got really excited over here for a second. Everybody was doing too much. We've chilled. All right. Fragrance oil has been, look at how much I spilled. And this is why we prepare in such a manner. So, oui, merci. Now we're going to get our wicks ready. So today I'm going to be using 2 medium wood wicks. They are crackling booster wood wicks, which means they are going to sound like a fireplace crackling. And I love it. I really, really enjoy the way wood wicks sound. However, wood wicks don't always perform very well. So keep that in mind when you are making a candle with wood wicks, that sometimes you score and you get a wood wick that knocks it out of the park and gives you an excellent burn, but other times you may not. So try not to stress too much about it. But today we're going to be using 2 mediums because this vessel is about 4 inches in diameter across the top and just about 3 inches in diameter across the bottom. So I'm going to be targeting that by using these 2 mediums in the center, keeping a nice like ring of wax that's untouched by the wicks, and it's right in the center so that we're kind of like centralized outside of the walls of the porcelain mug. I don't want the flame or the heat to go directly onto our sides. So a middle setup will be very good. Okay. So since these are very vertical and not very floopy, I generally do not use any wick straightening tools. You absolutely could. If you have them and you want to, go for it. But I feel like they don't really move that much, so it'll be fine. It's going to be great. How you doing? You're still melting. Okay, I'll leave you alone. Let's continue. So we are going to be using some pillar wax, as I said earlier, to fill our molds later. And I'm going to actually do that in the microwave, which is why I have this glass measuring cup beside me, because I'm going to be using that instead. It'll be fast. 50 grams of wax is not much. It won't take long in the microwave to melt. Probably a couple minutes. Okay, so I'm just attaching these wood wicks to a Wicks stickum, which is really just a fancy or a folksy way of saying double-sided tape that's round. You could use a bit of hot glue if you prefer. That's absolutely doable. I've seen people do that online, so go for it if that's your cup of tea. I think I'm going to put them vertically to the handle, like so, maybe facing each other. They're boosters. Okay, I'm going to have to be over it. So come over here so I can see. Ooh, that looks good. I'm going to leave that. Okay. And we'll do the same with these guys. Now, I always like to clean the wick clip. That's what this silver metal thing is. It's called a wick clip, and it's what helps the wick stay in place. Okay, the wax is still melting. You know, having just a little bit too much water in the double boiler is impacting the speed of this, because I can't put the heat up too much or it's going to bubble over. But if I leave it without putting the heat up more, we're going to be taking our time watching it melt in the first place. So what are you going to do? Rock hard place, here we are. It's going to be fine. All right, we got both of these guys ready to party. So again, vertical to the handle. You could do them horizontal, but I feel like you won't have as much space. And I do want to have a good inch around, or at least what it looks like. That's not an inch. That's like a half inch. How's that? Is that the do? Okay, I'm going to push these down. Actually, can I fit my hand? My big man hands. You can use anything to push these down. But I happen to have a popsicle stick. A stick to popsicle. All right. So, you could totally color your wax if you want to once we've scented it. Because if you're thinking of a latte, generally speaking, lattes are brown with like a white layer of foam or milk on top. But because these are solid porcelain mugs that you're not going to be able to see through, I don't see the need to make the wax brown. So I'm going to pour the whole candle with no color. And it's one of the top reasons why I chose Millennium soy wax for our main candle pour. Millennium soy wax is known for its like creamy, high opaque, like it's just a really creamy, bright white finish. Whereas like, for example, Pillar soy wax actually leans more into like a yellowy color. Whereas Millennium is almost like a bright, blinding white. It's going to be perfect for this idea, for this frothy kind of top of our latte. So that's why Millennium soy wax, and also it pours cooler. So I can pour it at 120 and it'll still do well. And, you know, that means we're not asking as much out of our vessel. But let's be real. This is a mug. Like you pour piping hot water in here to make tea. It's going to be fine. So either way, I just really wanted to use Millennium because it's normally really silky and beautiful and bright and shiny and all those things. Okay, now for our hearts and our coffee beans, we are going to use pillar wax today. However, I really don't think you need to because the structure of these shapes is very dense. You really want pillar, especially in silicone molds when they have like small pieces or things that jut out. Like for example, if you were doing a rose and the petals, you really want that pillar wax so that you don't lose the definition or the petals don't break off. All right, how are we doing? I think it is fully melted. Where's my gun? My temperature gun. I'm going to need gloves again, but let's just bring you over. All right. That handle danced all the way to the other side of the pot. You went for a little ride, did you? 177. I actually wanted to get a little warmer, so I'm going to leave it for a few minutes and let it get a little bit hotter, and I'll tell you why. You want your wax to get up to around 185 degrees, okay? And the reason for that is you want the wax molecules to open up to accept the fragrance oil molecules, and then they can become besties for life. And that will make the fragrance oil attach itself to the wax molecules, and together they will form your highly scented all the way through wax candle. So that is the plan. As long as we do it at the right temperature and we stir really well for 3 minutes, they should bond forever. So I'm going to give it a few minutes to get a little warmer. Is it the end of the world if we don't get all the way up to 185? I don't think so. I normally do try to get that high, though. It's like ideal. So if you can, why not? Anyway, as I was saying about these, we don't necessarily have to use pillar wax. I almost always use pillar wax for my toppers now because I have like decapitated a couple of little bunnies, definitely some chicks. There was a lot of carnage, and I'm still kind of traumatized by it, quite frankly. So I absolutely switched to pillar wax immediately after that massacre. Which, if you're interested, it was a whipped wax Easter candle that I made last year or the year before. I don't remember. Mary from the future will put it in the corner if you're watching this in the replay. But if you're watching live right now, know that it was a massacre and I was sad. And it's the reason why I always use pillar soy wax for any embeds or toppers or anything that I'm doing candle related that has a silicone mold. But with dense little shapes like this, I probably could have got away with using Millennium soy wax and it would have been fine. But we're still gonna do pillar. Okay, let's see. How are you doing? Are you getting warm? 181. Okay, we're getting closer. I want it to get, if we can, I want to get up to 185, but I don't know if I can make this any hotter at this point. It's partying pretty hard. So let's talk a little bit about these wicks while we have a minute, while we're waiting for the wax to get to temperature. As I mentioned, these are crackling booster wood wicks. Village Crafting Candles calls them 0.04-0.5 wood wick. They used to call it their medium, and that's what I always refer to it as, the medium crackling booster. And it's a regular wood wick that has this extra strip of wood pasted down the center. I mean, I guess it's pasted. And my understanding is that that extra little bit of wood down the center is what makes it crackle. And let me tell you, if you've never experienced a crackling wood wick, you're missing out. It is a good time. 184. Okay, I will take 184. It is basically 185, really, if you think about it. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, thank you so much. We're going to turn this off. I'm going to move this off camera because I don't want to accidentally hurt myself, which I am good at doing. All right. Safety first. Everybody's safe. Everybody's happy. And it smells like coffee over here. So it's a good day in the IHC craft room. I'm going to scoot you out of the way. Scoot, 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 scooty you. Okay, good. All right. We are doing good, guys. Let's move this. So, I'm going to go ahead and mix our fragrance oil into this nicely melted wax. Anytime I am using fragrance oil, you will see me wearing gloves. Highly recommend that you do the same. These fragrance oils are not skin safe. You don't want them directly on your skin. You can use them for bath and body projects, I think. You'd have to check their individual IFRA sheets on the Village Craft and Candle website to see what the percentage would be. But for this purpose, just wear gloves, okay? All right, here we go. Sunday morning espresso. And I'm going to start the clock. It is currently 4:21. We want to stir for 3 minutes. The general rule is you want to stir for 2 to 3 minutes, but I always go for 3 minutes because I figure, why not? And let's add in that top layer of foamy foam, which is the oatmeal and warm honey, to make our I Love You A Latte custom fragrance. Again, shout out to my girl Dee, who came up with this really cute idea, which I then built on to make these cappuccino candy. It's going to be fun. These cappuccino candles. Oh man, if you could smell this. I feel bad for you guys that you can't smell it because it smells so yum. I always enjoy like a coffee scented candle, but I find that most of them lean into a sweet vanilla scent. I didn't really want to do that vanilla spin, which is why oatmeal and warm honey really spoke to me, because it brings that sweet element into the coffee scent, making it that latte, but it's not that really, really vanilla-y sweet kind of scent that you end up smelling a lot in things, in different candles that are coffee scented. Because it's hard to get a true coffee scent without it leaning into a bitterness. So they end up offsetting it with these like sweet vanilla or gourmand notes. And sometimes, in my opinion, it goes a little too far in that direction. And I'm not really a huge fan of that personally. So this combo has, so far, it's smelling really lovely with the cold throw. We'll see how I feel once I actually light these candles and let them burn for a few hours. Then we'll see. I always do light candles at the end of all of my tutorials, so stick around till the end and we will light the candles together. But when you're starting a candle, I would highly recommend you don't light it unless you can dedicate at least 3 hours to that initial first burn. That's the way you're going to get the best melt pool happening for your candle. Once you do that first burn and you get a melt pool that's too small because you blew out your candle quickly because you had to run an errand, now it's going to keep remembering that melt pool, and you might not ever be able to get past that point. So it's always a great idea to make sure that you have a good 3 to 4 hours to dedicate to lighting your first light of your candle. It has never failed me, quite frankly. Also, this is soy wax that we're using today. So a reminder that you want to let this cure for about 10 days. 10 whole days, which takes a lot of patience. However, I'm pretty sure American Soy Organics has come out on their website saying that I think 3 or 4 days is sufficient for their waxes. So do what you think is best, but I generally try to at least wait 10 days when I'm doing soy wax candles. Okay, we have been stirring for a solid 3 minutes. So I am going to go ahead and pour this. Actually, let's see what the temperature is. Remember, we wanted to target 120, which is not much. 155. Oh boy. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pour it at this temperature, okay? It's not what I was supposed to do. I'm supposed to pour at about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly because of the fact that this is not a traditional candle vessel. This is a cappuccino mug. So, I mean, debate that all you want, because realistically, if I can pour piping hot water in here for tea, I'm sure it's fine to have some hot wax. So, okay, I'm going to break my own plan, and we are going to go ahead and pour at 149 degrees and call it Gouda. Now, my intention is to pour to about over here, okay? So it's just about a good inch from the top. There is a bit of a curve that kind of happens at that point where it kind of opens up a little bit. Remember I told you it's about 3 inches on the bottom? Well, it's gradual, and it really only starts towards the top that it opens up a bit. So down here, the vast majority of this cup is around the same size. So I'm going to stop right where that opening kind of happens and leave myself that real estate to put our mini hearts and some of these, like these beans. I've never done this. I just got this mold. I'm really excited about it. They really look like coffee beans. I'm excited. I hope it turns out looking like coffee beans. Okay. So we're going to pour now. Somehow it got to be a little bit hotter. It was 149 before I started talking. Apparently, what I had to say, caliente, okay? It was fire. Here we go. We're going to pour. I am going to pour just a little under. Good. And how about you? I hope my math is right. I did a water test for this in order to estimate how much wax I would need. That is phenom, fab, fantastique, wunderbar. We actually got it exactly where I wanted it. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. That is beautiful. I'm going to scoot you just a bit. Oh man, if you could smell that. It really smells like a fresh espresso. Even with the added oatmeal and warm honey. And I mean, you do smell that additional sweet gourmand to it, but it's not that what I consider a nauseating vanilla. Always clean your vessels as you go if you can. It will make your cleanup in the end much easier. I'm still going to clean this with a little bit of warm soapy water when I'm done. But now that I've gotten the hot wax off of it, I don't need to worry about having to melt it again to clean up. You know what I mean? So clean as you go. All right, we've got our main pour done. So let's go ahead and melt some pillar wax to make these guys. And then we're going to like complete the candle in a few minutes. Don't worry, I have some ready to go. We're not going to try to put those toppers in here because they would melt like immediately. So let me grab this and this. And where's my pillar wax? And we're going to pour about 50 grams for each of these. So I'm going to do 50 grams of brown and 50 grams of magenta because I'd like to do like a light pink. That's my plan. Okay, 50 grams. Here we go. I really don't need to be accurate with this because this is literally just to make the hearts. Put this aside for now. Just enough to melt in the microwave. Okay, not a lot. It's not much at all. And what we're going to do is add our color. No fragrance. We don't need fragrance for the toppers. It's not going to have any impact on the scent throw of the candle, really. So let me go and pop this in the microwave. Okay, I'm going to let that melt for a couple of minutes, and then we'll go grab it. Now, pillar wax is designed to be a harder wax. It's the reason why it's designed for pillars. Pillars are those candles that are freestanding. They're not in jars. You might see them at like a church or I don't know, a horror movie. I don't even know. I love pillar candles actually. Although I don't think I've ever made a pillar candle, with the exception of last week. I made these super cute little teddy bear candles. Oh my God, they are the cutest. And I would consider that a pillar candle, even though it's a shape. I don't think it matters. I mean, pillar candles are shapes. So I really enjoyed making that. It's definitely a challenge to make the wick tunnel that you need to thread through the actual teddy bear. But oh, so cute. If you're interested in learning how to make those, this was my first time making them. And I really enjoyed them, and it was fairly successful. I was actually very pleased, and they melted really well, especially with those Stabilo 12s. I'm really pleased with the way that all played out. So anyway, if you're watching this in the replay, Mary from the future will tag that video up here for you. But if you're here live, check that out at some point, but don't leave because you're going to miss out. We're about to pour our toppers in a second here. So let's see how we doing. Let me go see if I can stir it up and bring it over. How are we doing over here? Nope. You need some more time. Right. So pillar soy wax, because it's harder, it has a higher melt point than something like Millennium soy wax. Millennium soy wax in particular is a softer type of wax. So again, it gives that really beautiful, like bright, creamy white finish when it's fully cured, which is like completely different than pillar. Pillar really has that yellowy kind of vibe to it. So they do need a different amount of heat to melt. The pillar automatically is a harder wax, so it's going to need more heat to melt. So it's going to take a little bit longer because of that. But it's also the exact reason why we want it for our toppers, for a couple of reasons. First is demolding. That's the number one reason why I use pillar soy wax for any molds or any shapes I do in silicone molds, but especially ones that have like extra pieces. For example, a gingerbread man, you don't want his little legs to pop off. So pillar wax is the way you can avoid the carnage, really. And it works very well. It's not to say you won't break some, but not as many as you would if you were using just Millennium or just Freedom Soy or any kind of just soy wax, you know? All right, let's see. What are we doing over here? Ooh, you're melty. You are melty. I should have brought my temperature gun with me because now I don't know what the temperature of this is. Let's see. Opa! Very, very, very caliente. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the side for a second because I don't want my scale in the way. So I think we're going to start with the brown to make our coffee beans. So I want this to be really dark. I'm going to be using this liquid candle dye from Village Crafting Candle. It is highly concentrated. All of their liquid dyes are, which means, I mean, you don't need a whole heck of a lot to get a lot of color. They recommend 7 to 14 drops per 1 pound of wax. 50 grams is a far cry from 1 pound of wax, let me tell you. So we definitely don't need 7, but I would go as high as probably 3 to get a really nice, strong brown. Look at how cool that looks. What? Okay, so when you're mixing liquid dye into your wax, you do not need to stir for 3 minutes. You really need to do that for fragrance oil because of the molecular bonding that I talked about earlier. That's really important. And it's also the reason why if you're ever going to color your wax, always do so after you've scented it. Put your fragrance oil in first. Let the wax and the fragrance oil bond together. And then once they've been bonded for the 3 minutes of stirring, then go ahead and put in your liquid dye. And then you can stir that for like 30 seconds to a minute at most, and that would be sufficient. And the reason you want to make sure that you're putting your fragrance before your color is because you don't want the color to come between the wax and the fragrance. Wax and fragrance need to be besties. Okay. This is still very, very hot. Like very, very. What did I say? 219. Caliente. Which is going to make it really difficult for me to pour this because this is not, I mean, it's made to be heat resistant, but it's not fireproof. Like it's still going to be hot. I'm going to go towards the middle here. Yeah, this is going to be messy. I've actually seen people make these mini molds and they intentionally over pour and then scrape it with something. We're going to try that right now. I have a little popsicle stick. Okay. That's cool. I tried it this way before, but it didn't come out this clean. You'll see when I pull the ones that I've procured. Okay. Let's see. I can see why people would do it this way. But I mean, then the whole surface is going to crumble when you start popping them out because it's got like a thin layer of wax all the way around it. So 50 grams. Oh. We've had a disaster. We've had a disaster in the coffee bean factory. Alert, alert. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is why we do things on top of paper towels. Because Mary is a spaz. All right. I would say this is a sufficient. Oh, look, see? This is a sufficient amount of coffee beans for our 2 cappuccinos. So I'm going to stop pouring. I'll make a few more. Let's make a few more. Come on. We're here. We've got it. Let's do it. Besides, this spread mechanism is kind of cool. It's kind of fun. See if I can fill this whole front row. No. They're only half full. That's okay. All right. Let's get our... I'm going to go pour this. Actually, I always, here's an IHC quick tip. I always have a mold sitting in the wings just in case I make something and have too much of it. Now, this is not scented wax, so I'm basically just doing this so that I don't have to clean it up later. Because I'm not going to use this as a melt if it's not scented. But it's okay. And now I'm just going to clean this out a little bit. And then we are going to melt a little bit more pillar and add some of that magenta color. And we're going to make the hearts. I'm so excited. It's going to look so cute. It's going to look so effing cute. Okay, I'm going to move this. You guys need to scoot. Oh, I should have moved it before it got stuck to the countertop. Beep, 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 beep. Come on. There you go, pal. Everything's fine. Everybody's on the move. This is why I normally use parchment paper and not paper towel because of this, you see? It made it through. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We are going to measure this. We're going to do, maybe I won't do 50 grams because that seemed to be a little much, right? So, thing is, it's going to be harder if I do less because then it's going to melt so much. I mean, it's going to solidify so fast. We'll do 50 on this one too. All right, beautiful. So, into the microwave with you. say goodbye. We're gonna melt this guy down. Okay, I'm gonna let that melt for like 3 minutes this time. And while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm gonna tidy up a little bit because we are going to start adding toppers to our candles very shortly. And you're probably like, how are we going to put them there? Don't worry, we're not using these candles. We're going to let those ones cure. This is going to scoot off to the side. Okay, good. Can I fit? No, you know what I should use is this. Chip it. Very nice. Very nice. Me gusta, me gusta. All right. So, a couple of days ago, I made these guys. Boop. And his little friend, boopity boop. So, I already made a couple. Boop, 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 boop. See how creamy the top looks? That Millennium soy wax is no joke. It really does have that creamy, frothy kind of look to it. And all I did was a straight pour, just like these ones. So it's a great way to get the look we were going for in this I Love You A Latte kind of vibe. But I actually do have quite a lot of cracking on the top of my candle. I'm not sure if you can see it because these wicks are still very long. I haven't trimmed them down yet. And they're casting a bit of a shadow. But there's quite a divot here. And that kind of starts to be a crack here, but it stays. But it stuck so nicely to the edges of the vessel. I'm very surprised, actually. I was hoping it would because Millennium is such a soft wax. But sometimes, you know, it cools. It might pull away and cause, you know, gaps, but it didn't. Now, this one, same. We were just about to start getting that really big crack over here. So you can see the difference because there is a divot, but it didn't actually crack. And the reality is the reason this kind of stuff happens to my candles is really simple. I know the reason. And it's because I make my candles in my basement, which is very cold. It's quite cold down here. The hot wax, the cold environment, the cold table, all of these factors together impact the finished product of the candle. A lot of times because of this, the outside and the bottom are curing so fast and the inside doesn't cure as fast because that's where all the heat is kind of trapped. It's going to eventually cause these little sinkholes and cracks and things like that. So I do know that that is the reason behind these types of little issues that I have with my candles. But I also know that they're just aesthetic issues. It has nothing to do with the way the candle's going to perform for you. So don't worry if you get, you know, cracks or sinkholes. It's not the end of the world. It's actually very common. And it's usually a temperature thing. So keep that in mind. And you can actually do a number of things to avoid that issue, such as pouring them on top of a pot holder to like protect it from the cold of the table. You could wrap it in aluminum foil to kind of contain the heat and keep it from curing faster from the outside. So there's a few things you can do and, you know, play around. When you're making your candles, you'll eventually land on all of the factors that work beautifully. Wow, look at how high that temperature is. That is no bueno. You really shouldn't have your wax that hot, people. Let me just say. I'll put it on the record. But we're going to pretend it's not happening. And instead, I am going to grab a piece of parchment paper because we're going to use some magenta liquid dye to color this wax. But I want this to be like a really faint blush color. So I can't use even one drop of this liquid dye because it's so strong. So I'm going to actually just, if I can unscrew this, I'm just going to take a toothpick and slide it across the bottom of the dropper. That's all. See? Can you see this tiny, tiny bit? That's all we're going to put in here. And I don't want to touch this vessel because it's hella hot. Okay, that's it. Now let's see. That actually looks like a lot more liquid dye than I wanted to go in there. So this is probably not going to be as blushy as I thought. It's going to lean more into the magenta, but that's okay. I just want a pink heart. You know what I mean? I didn't want it to be in the reds if possible. So I just want to point out something real quick. I'm right-handed, which you probably can tell by the way I'm stirring with my right hand, which means I'm also going to be pouring right-handed. So can you explain to me why I decided to put my heat-resistant glove on my left hand instead of my right hand? I have no idea. But that's okay. We'll switcheroo before it's time to pour. Because this is extremely, it's high up there with the temperature. So what we're going to do to smooth out the tops of these candles is I'm going to heat it. I was going to use a heat gun anyway in order to add our toppers. But now all the more we're going to heat the entirety of the surface because I want to see if we can level out some of those sinkholes and cracks first. And then we'll place our toppers. Okay. I feel like I've stirred enough. I don't know what color this is going to be. I kind of feel like I might have still caught it. I'm like close enough to the blush pink. And not quite because magenta can really, you know, read as red if it's highly concentrated. So, okay, let's switch glove hands so that there's no casualties. You guys can scoot for a minute. We'll bring you back in a second. Okay. I'm going to do basically the same thing as I did with that one because I thought that was fun. So I'm going to do it again. But I'm going to start higher up and start scooting it down. I think that's a better plan than what I did before. It's kind of like an ice tray. My hand is starting to burn. Okay, that's enough of you. Let's see if we go up first. Oh, how cute are these going to be, though? I've never made hearts this small. I specifically bought this really, really small mold because I wanted to do this like border, you know? And all the hearts that I have are a little too big. Oh, okay. I didn't have any extra of this one. Okay. Let's move that out of the way. Yeah, I can see how this would work really well. Cool, cool, cool. Because if I tried to do this with pipettes, I feel like they'd be blowing through the pipettes because it's just going to melt and then it's going to solidify so fast that I just feel like we wouldn't get a lot of bang for our buck out of that. Okay, I'm going to scoot these off to the side. And then we are going to start working on our finalized candles over here. So you over here, please. Merci. And you, Scram, we don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. No more of this glove. Actually, I don't think I need gloves at all. Oh, wait. I'm going to demold. So I'm going to keep my gloves on for a minute. Oh, it looks like I've had an injury, but I haven't. This is the magenta dye. All right. So I pre-made some little hearts and some beans, some coffee beans. So I'm excited to see if I scored in the color. And I think I did with these ones. These came out really nicely light blush. I'm really pleased with that. That is exactly the kind of color I was shooting for. So cute. Okay, I have no idea how many I'm going to need for this candle. I kind of was just picturing trying to do like a pattern, like maybe 2 or 3 hearts and a coffee bean, and then another 2 or 3 hearts and a coffee bean. I feel like that would be really cute. And I want to do it like a border. That was always the plan, is to do a border. So I'm going to need a few. So these ones I managed to individually pour pretty much last night, but I can see that I've got a lot of sinkholes in some of these. See that? And that comes down to, again, before where we were talking about ambient temperature of where you're making your candles does matter. So if you're in an environment like me that's really cold, you really do need to offset that if you're concerned about the aesthetics of your candle. So something that you would do in this case was like maybe pour it inside of a cardboard box with the lid and keep that temperature kind of like in there. There's like lots of little tricks like that that you can try to, you know, offset the ambient temperature. Or if you can, like, go to another room that's not quite so cold. I'm saying that to myself, and the answer is no. I'm staying in the basement. I like it down here. All right, we are almost done. I got quite a few. I'm actually really excited to see the coffee beans. That's why I'm waiting. It's gonna be, I'm so excited. Okay, let's see. Let's see how these coffee beans turned out. Because these little hearts came out muy bueno. Mi piace, me gusta. Okay. So these ones, I did the same thing with the pulling with the, and so I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of flaking wax because of it. Oh man, get out of here. How cool do those look? That really looks like a coffee bean. Haha. Awesome. Wow, I didn't realize how deep this mold was. Both of them actually are quite deep, which means they're going to be thick. So that's one of the reasons why you may have noticed when I showed you the completed candles that I made earlier this week, I haven't cut down my wicks yet. And that's because I definitely need to know the size of my toppers in relation to the top of the wax, because you want your wick to be able to not get drowned by the extra wax that's going to melt off of your toppers. So we might end up having to cut our wicks a little bit, you know, on the, yeah, look at all this flaking wax. See, I don't like that. I would not do this again. It's like annoying because I'm trying to avoid it. But you see all this crusty wax now? Yeah. No, I won't do that again. It does work though. And that's going to be a pain to clean this. I'm going to have to like wah the whole time. Okay, I'm just going to stop because I don't think I need more than that. But in case I do, I'm going to put these off to the side. Look. La. All this mess. All this messy. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and start working on the top of our candles. Now, I don't think I'm going to need my gloves anymore. I just wanted them to demold with because of all of this nonsense. Before we clean or fix the top of our candles, let's plan out how this is going to go. And then I'm going to use my friend Senor Hikan over here to melt the top layer all the way across and see if we can fill in that little bit of a sunken wax that you can see right there. See that? We're going to see if we can like shore that in a little bit and then add our toppers in as well. So let me just plug this in real quick so that I'm ready to party when it's time. Okay, so what I had in mind was like say 2 or 3 hearts. That's really close to the wick, which is not ideal. That looks so cute though. Coffee bean. I was going to do just one coffee bean. Now we're going to see. Do we want to do 3 coffee beans? Now this feels like heart overload. So maybe instead of 3, we'll do 2. Like that. And then that's really cute. This is going to be fun to watch melt because it's going to take a while to get like into the edges, and we might not even get there. I think we will though. 2 medium wood wicks is a sufficient melt pool. Like each of these should do about a couple of inches. So there shouldn't be any reason why I don't get the melt pool to get all the way to the edge of the vessels, to the vessel wall. Let's see. No, this is too much. I'm forcing. I'm causing like a What do you think? Do we like that? Hi Anna, welcome. What do you think? Do you like the hearts and coffee bean combo like this? Okay, let's leave that for a minute and see if it grows on us. And maybe we'll do the opposite with this one. We'll do way more coffee beans. Like maybe we'll do 3 or 4 coffee beans. Am I going to have enough coffee beans for this? We'll see. It's a mystery. You know, I could do just 1 heart period and do. There's so many things you could do. And this is one of the things that I love about candle making. The exact same recipe and the same like components, and you can make so many different variations of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to go all the way around because I really have in my heart, I want to do a border today because I've never done a border on a candle before that I can think of. But I mean, there's so many ways you could just make 2 or 3 little coffee beans and it would look so cute with the wood wick. You're not supposed to be there. See, this is the size. That's kind of cute. It's not even though. I think I should pop a couple more. What do you think? Is 4 better? Trust me, it'll be easier to position these when the wax is melted. Maybe we'll do 1 with a border and 1 we'll do as like minimal. So let's see. Let's dump you out. So what I mean is maybe we'll just do a couple of coffee beans. And like a heart in the corner. Like that. Minimalist. Or near each other. Like honestly, I could waste so much time doing this. Going, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? I kind of like this. And then what? Nothing? Just that? Just the top? You know what would be really interesting to know is if I were to cover the whole top with just these toppers, how would this perform? I don't know, because that would be a lot of additional wax that I was not planning to melt all at the same time. So that'd be interesting to see how that would play out. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do, let's try this. This is kind of like fluffing ribbon or making a bow and fluffing the rolls of the bow. Like I could spend so much time on this going, what about this? And what about that? And how about if I do it this way? These are already cured, by the way. Like I could probably pop them out of the molds right now and use them if I needed to. Because they were so small to begin with, it doesn't take long for them to solidify. I think I want to put one heart. That's going to be the problem, is when I have the melted wax on the top layer and I keep dropping these in like a drunk person, that's not going to be ideal. Okay. And then a heart. That's cute. That's cute. I like that. Okay, let's see. Because it's all well and good to plan these out when everything's dry and you can move everything around. It's another thing when everything's melted. And first of all, will I remember what I did? And secondly, is it going to actually stay? So we'll see. Let's get you out of here. What I do know for sure is in terms of the wick, I'm going to have to line up the length of the wick with how tall these toppers are so that I'm not going to melt. I'm not going to, when they start to melt, they're not going to then put out the flame of my wick. So that's a bit of a tricky dynamic. Let me see if I can use scissors for this. I had a viewer tell me recently that I could use oversized toenail clippers or just nail clippers. Don't think of toes, but nail clippers to cut these. I think that's such a great idea. I just have to get a set that will be dedicated to candle making. All right, not bad. I do have a wick trimmer. I find that wick trimmers destroy wood wicks. Like they never get all the way through. Oh, I'm starting to scratch the top of my, who cares? I'm about to heat the whole top of the candle anyway. Holy, for real. The struggle's real over here. I think I'm going to have to use my wick trimmer because I can't seem to cut through that with my, that's not so bad. Okay. That's stressful. Stressful. We're going to do the same. I'll try to cut it with my scissors first because I would prefer it. No. But it made a bit of a cut, so maybe that'll help this. No, it didn't. So this is really, really high to be cutting a wick, especially a wood wick. And I'll tell you why. Because as much as you think wood is flammable, and it is, it needs something to help sustain the fuel of the fire. And the fuel that you use with wood wicks is wax. So if your wood wicks are too high, okay, we're going to do 2-in-1s. So I'm going to remember that. If your wick is too high, it won't be able to access the fuel of the wax. So you really do want to have your wood wicks to be really, really small against the top of your candle. So leaving this extra length is a little bit of a risk. And we might end up having to light these several times. because I'll have to burn down that extra bit of wood before it starts to take the fuel of the candle wax. So we'll see. But we are going to go. How you guys doing? They're still a little warm, but I would say these are solid already. So that's the beauty of these. Okay, I am going to use my heat gun to melt the top layer of this wax. So it's going to be a bit loud, so be prepared. Here we go. So right now what I'm doing is just trying to get an even layer across the top so that I can fill in that little cracked area. It'll naturally fall into that area. So I'm going to do that a little bit more, and then we'll do the same on the other. Okay, we're going to see if that solidifies the way I'm hoping it will. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. I'm just going to try to level out those little bits of imperfection. You see how beautiful and shiny and glossy it is, though? Millennium soy wax really has such a beautiful finish. All right. I got a really good layer off of that one. But I don't know if you can see. It's still not quite completely solidified, but it looks beautiful right now. Really smooth and buttery on top, which is what we really want for, I mean, it's what I wanted, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get it. Okay, now, in terms of adding these toppers, we need to have that whole layer melted again. So I'm going to do it one more time, this time with the intention of dropping in toppers as we go. The problem is that if I stop melting it, then it's going to start solidifying, right? So as we continue, I can't keep hitting it with a heat gun or I'm going to melt my toppers. So we're going to move fast is what I'm trying to say, which could end badly. So cross your fingers for me. I'm going to put a nice layer across the top, and then we're going to work as fast as possible to put these toppers on. Here we go. All right, we've got a nice layer right now. Okay. Woo, we're on the move. Here we go. Here we go. Now, this is also most likely going to cause a little bit of melt. What did we say? 2? Oh. And then a coffee bean. Geez, I feel like I'm going in slow motion. Does it feel that way to you too? So cute. So I ended up with 2 leftover hearts. So I must have made this tighter before. Oh well. Tell me that's not cute. Get out of here. Get out of here. How cute are you? Okay, you scoot. Now we're going to do all coffee beans for this one with just 1 heart. So this is going to be a challenge. A challenge. Here we go. Are you ready? We're going to melt the whole top layer again. Okay. All right, let's move. Let's hustle. Let's hustle. Let's hustle. Heart in the center. Okay. Coffee beans. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the heart shape again, but we'll try it. Oh man, this is solidifying pretty quickly. You really want that top layer to stay liquid while you're doing this part, so that once it starts to harden up, it attaches itself to the coffee beans. I don't know if I like that. I think I might put it on the edge. No bean heart. Just the 1 little heart in the bottom. Yeah, I like that. What do you think? Cute? I think they're cute. I'm very pleased. Let's scoot these guys out of here. We don't need them anymore. Thank you. Appreciate your assistance. And let's have a close-up look at our super cute I Love You A Latte Cappuccino mug candles. Cute, right? Wood crackling wicks. Now, these wicks are going to be questionable. Let me think. Okay, we've done this one already. Let's see. Yay! They stayed on. How about you? They're not quite dry yet, but yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So I'm sure you can see that these 2 are starting to solidify now, which is great. We don't want, again, soy wax. You don't want to light them for about 10 days if you can wait. But I mean, the manufacturer does say that you could do it sooner than that. So feel free to live on the edge. I'm going to grab a lighter. And we are going to light both of these beautiful candles right now together and see how our wood wicks do with this height that I've given them. So we're going to see. All right. Say bye-bye, because they're not going to look like this anymore. Bye-bye. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to try to light it close to the candle top so that it starts to burn from the bottom. We're going to get a torch flame from this. Now, I understand that with the way the lighting works and the camera and all of that, all you're going to see are blurs of light. So you're going to have to take my word for it when I describe what this looks like. Okay, so remember I was talking about how they're going to put themselves out if they don't have enough fuel. That's one of the reasons why instead of lighting these wicks from the very top, I lit them as close as I could to where they meet the candle wax. right down at the bottom of the wick, right where it touches the candle. That's where I tried to light them. And they started as torches, and now you see how they're starting to burn themselves down. But we're getting close enough to the candle wax that these might just stay lit because they're going to start getting the fuel from the wax that it needs. Okay. Guys, I'm excited. They're actually staying lit. So like I said about wood wicks, they can be really temperamental. So keep that in mind if you're somebody who's learning to make candles and you're trying wood wicks and sometimes you're really successful and other times not so much. Absolutely mess around with your recipe. It could be a number of things. It could be the vessel you're using. It could be the wax you're using. It could be the fragrance oil and wax combination you're using. There's a million things that impact the scent throw of your candle and the way the candle burns and performs. However, one of those factors is for sure the wick itself. And this kind of wick can sometimes be amazing and other times not so much. So you can probably see that these flames are significantly bigger than these ones, but they're both staying lit, which is great news if you ask me. Anyway, I really enjoyed making these candles with you today. We made 14-ounce cappuccino mug candles, but we're calling this I Love You A Latte. It's a custom fragrance combination of Sunday morning espresso and oatmeal and warm honey fragrance oils, 70-30 split. And I'm just so excited with the way these turned out. I'm super thrilled. This is exactly the way I pictured it in my head. So I'm thrilled with the way they turned out. And I hope you enjoyed making these candles with me today. I'm going to be going live making candles every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From now until Valentine's Day, making Valentine's Day themed candles. But beyond that, we're going to keep making candles live every Saturday. So come back and join me again for another fun project that we make together. And if you're interested in learning more about candle making, check out my channel. I have a ton of beginner-friendly videos, lots of these live ones now, and also those shorter 10 to 15-minute videos that have a lot less merry chatter and a lot more editing and stuff. But I mean, that doesn't mean I don't talk the whole time, because I do, just not for 2 hours. You know what I mean? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed making these candles with me today. I really had a great time. Please consider telling a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!